5 minutes, so I think we're around about 3-4 times. Ready? Just me with Pickle.
The Archdeacon of Plymouth, the Venerable Ian Chandler, will lead us in prayer.
Lord, the God of righteousness and truth, grant to our Lord Mayor, to the councillors and all in positions of responsibility in this city, the guidance of your Holy Spirit. May they never leave the city wrongly through love of power, desire to please, or unworthy ideals. But lay aside all private interests and prejudices. Keep in mind their responsibility to seek to improve the condition of all people. So may your kingdom come and your name be hallowed. Make our prayer. For our Lord Jesus Christ, who is alive and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever.
Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. Good morning and welcome. Could I remind you please to turn off your mobile phones, or at the very least put them on vibrate. Secondly, these proceedings are being streamed live on the internet. So I further remind those who have microphones attached to them that they are live at all times.
Deputy Lieutenant of Devon, Honorary Recorder of Plymouth, Honorary Freeman and Honorary Alderman of the City of Plymouth, members of the City Council, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen and young people. I call for nominations for the office of Lord Mayor of the City of Plymouth for the ensuing year. Councillor Patrick Nicholson will propose the motion, and I invite Councillor Nicholson to come forward.
My Lord Mayor, Deputy Lieutenant of Devon, Honorary Recorder of Plymouth, Honorary Freeman and Honorary Alderman of the City of Plymouth, members of the City Council, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen and young people. It is a huge honour to be asked to propose my colleague and friend, Councillor Wendy Foster, as our next Lord Mayor. It has been a privilege to have known Wendy for over 20 years, a period in which I've grown to know her well, her husband Ken and a wider family. Wendy was born in Devonport, later moving to Lipson, and into a highly musical family with her father an accomplished organist and both parents keen singers and members of the historic Clarion Choir. Her grandfather was also Superintendent Minister of the Mount Gould Methodist Church. From an early age, Wendy developed a passion for music and dance, which she used to good effect as a Sunday school teacher. Wendy was educated at Warren School and Business College and started her career as secretary to the ambulance officer of Plymouth, a Mr. Sampson. Unknowingly, Wendy had started her local government service. Now, my Lord Mayor, Conservatives do recognise that there are some good trade union leaders. Maybe not Arthur Scargill or indeed Len McCluskey. But even among our peers here today, Councillors Peter Smith and Chris Mavin, and indeed Councillor Ken Foster himself, have all played an important positive role in the trade union movement to support the development of staff. Now, as a young, impressionable secretary, Wendy came up against a robust, pushy shop steward, par for the course I would suggest, who was an ambulance driver, who nagged and encouraged her to train as a nurse. Eventually, Wendy conceded and later trained to be a nurse at Freedom Fields and went on to work at Tavistock, Devonport and Plympton hospitals locally and Little Bromwich Hospital in Birmingham, retiring in 1984 to look after her 4 children. So from a young age, we see Wendy develop a passion for music, dance, young people and the caring of others. My Lord Mayor, this passion led Wendy to help her husband Ken enter local politics in November 1996 at a Devon County Council by-election. It just so happens that I have Ken's leaflet that was produced in 1996, which I'm sure remains very familiar to Wendy, having no doubt delivered hundreds of the copies as her apprenticeship into local politics. It was interesting because it says, Ken Foster Conservative, common sense in local government. Now, I'm sure we'd all agree that Conservatives and common sense in local government we'd all agree with. However, on the reverse of the leaflet, which is very interesting, Plymstock swimming pool should become a reality within the next 2 years. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with the saga of a swimming pool for Plymstock, we're now 21 years later and still fighting for a swimming pool for Plymstock. But it just shows that you can start delivering leaflets and end up, all being well, once the council approve it, as Lord Mayor of Plymouth. So well done, Wendy. Now, Wendy decided to throw herself into local politics and successfully stood in 2000 for the Plymstock Radford ward, which she has continuously represented ever since. The importance of the general public and their welfare has always taken precedence for Wendy and is amply demonstrated by her service on numerous committees during her 17 years of service. But of particular note was as Vice Chairman of the Education Committee, a member of the Taxi, Licensing and Planning Committees, Wellbeing, Overview and Scrutiny Panel, the very important Corporate Parenting, and even more important Adoption Panel, for which she's been the only councillor serving on the panel. My Lord Mayor, Wendy's interest in public health was demonstrated as a long-standing member of the Planning Committee. Whilst the rest of the committee were pondering over the design of the development, or the proposed activity or the number of people to be employed or housed on the site, Wendy's focus was the sewage and drainage, always ensuring that the future occupants' welfare was being well looked after. My Lord Mayor, despite Wendy and Ken's successful elections to Plymouth City Council, they continued their love of music and dance, regularly participating in ballroom dancing at the Crown Hill Royal British Legion and attending concerts and church services throughout the city. Wendy, supported by Ken, are also avid Plymouth Argyle supporters and have been season ticket holders for many years and can be seen wearing an Argyle shirt, scarf and cap at each game. Now, I'm not sure in the next 12 months, Wendy, whether you'll be incognito in that kit or whether you'll be adding your chain to the Argyle Guard, but hopefully you'll still be able to maintain an attendance. Is it at Argyle matches that Wendy now proposes or will now practice her love of music and singing and is often heard chanting, "Come on, you Greens." I know I speak for everyone in the Guildhall today in once again congratulating Plymouth Argyle on their promotion success. And I know the Lord Mayor-elect would like to follow you, Lord Mayor, in welcoming the team back to the Council House following their promotion to the Championship next year. My Lord Mayor, in my opinion, we have a nominee who has two special qualities. He's a good dancer and a music lover. These are not qualities shared by all former occupiers of this high office. The year ahead will have numerous opportunities for the new Lord Mayor to engage with community organisations across the city, and I hope that dance, fun and music can play a significant part. Perhaps as well as hearing Plymouth Argyle supporters shout, "Come on, you Greens," we may hear the public shout, "Come on, Lord Mayor." As Irving Berlin, who is widely considered to be one of the greatest songwriters, once said, "There may be trouble ahead, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance." So there may be a busy year ahead at Wendy, supported by Ken, but I wish both of you, assisted by Nick and Helen as your able deputies, a very successful year in office. And is with that I formally propose, and it gives me enormous pleasure, to propose that Councillor Mrs Wendy Foster be elected Lord Mayor of the City of Plymouth for the ensuing year.
Councillor Tudor Evans will second the motion. I invite Councillor Evans to come forward.
My Lord Mayor, Deputy Lieutenant of Devon, Honorary Recorder of Plymouth, Honorary Freeman and Honorary Alderman of the City of Plymouth, members of the City Council, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and young people. It gives me great pleasure to be standing here today, seconding such a fine speech from Patrick. And of course, the usual joy of following such a full speech as that is that there's very little left to say. But I think I'll just try and shoehorn one or two in, if I may. There is an election on. I was fully expected to be challenged at the door wearing this emblem today, but happily I've made it all the way to the podium. But it wouldn't be an election, would it, if we didn't make a few points about saving public services. I'll come back to that a little later on. But I am delighted to be seconding the incoming Lord Mayor, yet another remarkable woman councillor to take this most important office. Patrick's spoken a little bit, I think, about what makes Wendy tick. So there's no need really for me to repeat the excellent summary of her life and career on the council. But I wanted just to stir up a little controversy. So I did ask Wendy if she'd name me her favourite part of Plymstock. And of course, as I said, there's an election on. It's like judging the beauty contest at the fair, isn't it? Or the dog show. You can't say which is your favourite, because everybody in your ward is important. But she did leave me with a little insight, which is a lovely story about when she was a teenager, going across on the boat to be at the beach there at Turnchapel. And I have to say, you know, there's a lovely story about shouting out there loudly and hoping to get a flicker of recognition and echo. I'll be talking about Ken in a minute. If I could say that, you know, they do come as a bit of a pair, I would say. I mean, Ken has been Wendy's Rock for, is it 30, how many years now? 35 years. And that's a fantastic partnership, and it will be fascinating for those of us who've only really seen them in the sort of political environment to see how they work in this environment. I am utterly confident that they're going to go down like a storm across the city. It's going to be fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing you work. I did a speech a few years ago. As you know, Wendy was a nurse, and I did a speech a few years ago about Dennis Camp. Some of you may remember the speech I gave, where with Dennis's career, every place that he's ever served in the armed forces had been closed. My friend Eddie Rennie is often fond of telling us that every school he ever attended is closed. And with Councillor Wendy Foster, this may come as a shock to you to know, but with one exception, every place that she ever worked in the health service is now closed. That's right, isn't it? Freedom Fields, gone. Plimpton, the Wendy Foster effect. Wadham House in Liscard, not just Plymouth, under fire, and the aforementioned Little Bromwich in Birmingham, gone. There is only one left. So I say to you now, in all honesty, if you get the offer of a visit of the Lord Mayor of Plymouth to Tavistock Hospital this year, run for your lives. Thank you. I so move.
Are there any other nominations? In the absence of any other nominations, I will put the motion to the meeting.
Members of the City Council, those in favour of the motion, please show. Thank you. Those against? My Lord Mayor, the motion is carried.
I declare that Councillor Wendy Foster is elected Lord Mayor of the City of Plymouth for the ensuing year.
Please stand. No, you're all right. Fine. Face me. Face. No. Pick yours up. Step it down. Lord Mayor, I invite you to take the declaration of acceptance of office. Will you please repeat after me? I, Wendy Carroll Foster,
I, Wendy Carroll Foster,
having been elected to the office of Lord Mayor,
having been elected to the office of Lord Mayor,
hereby declare that I take the said office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties thereof according to the best of my judgment and ability.
according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Will you please sign a written declaration to that effect? Thank you. Many congratulations.
Thank you.
My Lord Mayor, may I present you with a pair of ceremonial kid gloves, bearing as they do on the cuff the arms and crest of this ancient and proud city. Please be seated.
I formally move that Councillor Nicholas Kelly be elected the Deputy Lord Mayor of the City of Plymouth for the ensuing year. Councillor Peter Smith will second the motion.
Lord Mayor, I formally second.
Are there any other nominations? In the absence of any other nominations, I will put the motion to the meeting.
Members of the City Council, those in favour of the motion, please show. Thank you. Those against? My Lord Mayor, the motion is carried.
I declare that Councillor Nicholas Kelly is elected Deputy Lord Mayor of the City of Plymouth for the ensuing year.
Please stand. When the robing has taken place, push your chair right back. Deputy Lord Mayor, I invite you to take the declaration of acceptance of office. Will you please repeat after me? I, Nicholas Kelly,
I, Nicholas Kelly,
have been elected to the office of Deputy Lord Mayor,
having been elected to the office of Deputy Lord Mayor,
hereby declare
that
I take the said office upon myself, and will duly and faithfully fulfill the duties thereof, according to the best of my judgment and ability. Will you please sign a written declaration to that effect? Thank you. Many congratulations. Please be seated. How you doing? All right? How you doing? All right?
I announce the appointment of Reverend Dave Appleby at the Parish Church of Plymstock and Hoo, Plymouth, as my chaplain, and I invite Reverend Carl Freeman to transfer the Lord Mayor's chaplaincy insignia to Reverend Dave Appleby.
Thank you. I invite the Reverend Carl Freeman to the stage for the retiring Lord Mayor to present him with his commemorative badge of office. Please stand. I invite Warrant Officer David Halliday, Royal Marines, on behalf of the Royal Navy, to approach for the presentation of Drake's sword. Mr. Halliday, please.
My Lord Mayor, on behalf of the Royal Navy, I present to you Drake's sword to symbolise the key links between the Royal Navy and the City of Plymouth.
Royal Navy, General Salute, present, arms! Salute, arms!
Thank you, Mr. Halliday.
Royal Navy, 8 mount, turn! Whip, mark!
What a wonderful sound. Please be seated. There will now be a presentation of flowers and gifts. The retiring Lord Mayor to give a scroll and a gift to the retiring Lord Mayor's cadet, Finlay Burkitt. And this is the point in the proceedings where the children take a part. Mia Hetherington and Jessica Murphy. They are to give a gift to the outgoing Lord Mayor's consort, Councillor Brian Vincent. Give him a kiss. Let's give them a hand of applause. Neve Kane. Neve, where are you? Neve, dear, would you please give some flowers to the outgoing Deputy Lord Mayor's consort, Miss Bethan Davey? Rachel Harrison to give a gift to the incoming Lord Mayor's consort, Councillor Ken Foster. And Alex Kelly to give flowers to the incoming Deputy Lady Mayoress, Mrs. Helen Kelly. It seems son don't need any encouragement. Thank you. 24.
Deputy Lieutenant of Devon, Honorary Recorder of Plymouth, Honorary of Freeman, and Honorary Alderman of Plymouth, members of the City Council, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Young people, sorry. I feel very humbled and honoured to have been chosen by the City Council as the Lord Mayor of Plymouth for this year, and thank all those who have supported me in the past 17 years as a councillor, especially the voters of the Plymstock-Radford ward who have made this day possible. To be elected as Lord Mayor is a great privilege. I am looking forward to my year in office, and especially meeting many of you in the community, and particularly those of you who work in the caring professions and voluntary groups. As a former nurse, I know how hard it is, how much work you have to do. I have pleasure in welcoming my cadet this year, who is Sergeant Amber Platt of the 2339 Air Training Corps, based at Plymstock School, where she is currently a pupil. She tells me that after her exams, she hopes to study oceanography at Plymouth University. A bright girl, I think. I hope that you're able to achieve this ambition, Amber, and that the experience of being my cadet will prove beneficial to you in the future. I have chosen Jeremiah's Journey as my charity, which is based here in Plymouth. It was founded 20 years ago to help support and comfort, give help and comfort to children who have lost a parent. This charity enables them to meet other children in the same situation by sharing in activities, trips, and if needed, therapy and grief counselling, so that they are not alone trying to cope with the loss. I expect you're wondering why I've chosen Jeremiah's Journey as my charity. I'll explain. In 1973, my own children were in this situation when my husband was killed in an accident at work. He was 37 years old. My twin girls were 9 and my son 7. They found it very difficult to pour out their grief to me, as I was numb with shock and obviously grieving myself. And also, I was 16 weeks pregnant with my youngest child. They needed an organisation such as Jeremiah's Journey to help them cope with the immediate trauma and the difficult years ahead. But no such charity for bereaved children in Plymouth in 1973. I'm glad there is now. So I am very pleased to be able to nominate Jeremiah's Journey as Lord Mayor's charity for my year, so that much needed help and support is given to those children who are going through this very painful period in their lives. I do hope that you will be able to support them so that they will be able to continue their valuable work. Thank you very much. I call upon Councillor Sudan to move a vote of thanks to the retiring Lord Mayor and the retiring Deputy Lord Mayor.
My Lord Mayor, Deputy Lieutenant of Devon, Honorary Recorder of Plymouth, Honorary Freeman and Honorary Alderman of the City of Plymouth, members of the City Council, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and young people. Councillor Pauline Murphy. A Lord Mayor who has demonstrated this year what strong and stable leadership really, really means. I thought I'd better get that one in quite early in the proceedings. Now, here's a woman you don't want to challenge too often, and never underestimate the power of what she can do and what she can achieve. Pauline is strong. She has been a great leader, but she's also been a Lord Mayor who has been filled with compassion for the people that she has met during her year of office. Pauline, you've had a very interesting year in the council chamber. For those of you who have sat in the gallery or watched full council on a Monday afternoon on the meetings online, you will know that things don't always run smoothly. I think that this year we've had more adjournments, more discussions, more very heated debates, points of orders and questionable procedures than I can ever remember. But Pauline has proved more than capable of managing us, her fellow councillors, and the situations as they have arisen. She did that with authority, because nobody in the chamber would have dared challenge you, Pauline. You treated councillors with respect, and that respect was also reciprocated. Pauline, you and your consort, Councillor Brian Vincent, have been part of the Lord Mayoralty 4 times, so that over the years you must have been to hundreds, well, actually thousands of functions. So practice makes perfect. You have been a real success. I don't really want to talk about numbers, but I think as well, if you added up the kisses and hugs that Pauline has distributed across the city this year, that probably comes up to thousands as well. Pauline, you've been a Lord Mayor of and for the people of Plymouth. You've gained a reputation within the organisations that you have worked with and visited for being approachable, engaging, always knowing what the right thing to do is. And this has been particularly demonstrated in how you have worked with and engaged with the children and young people of our city. We chatted, Pauline and I, about what she'd done, what has made her very proud and given her pleasure. And I'm going to leave Pauline's own charities for her to talk about, but she told me a story about some money that she was given. Pauline was very sad to hear that the Plymouth Children's Charity was going to fold, not because of lack of funds, but sadly because of the difficulty in finding mentors. The charity had funds and they'd given Pauline a cheque for her own charities, but Pauline couldn't accept it because she felt that the money that had been raised for young people and children, and to young people and children it should be given. So Pauline organised an event where the Plymouth Children's Charity was able to give 6 organisations nearly £3,000 each to be used specifically for children's and youth activity. So Hermose, Trevi House, Jeremiah's Journey, Horizon, Barefoot and the Military Kids Club Heroes, MKC Heroes, all benefited. Pauline trying to help and support as many people as she could. Pauline did what she thought was right, acting with great integrity. The Military Kids Club Heroes put on a special concert to say thank you, and there was one young person who even did a solo. This has been part of Pauline's year, just sharing the love across the city. Pauline's support for our servicemen, women, veterans and their families, even before she came Lord Mayor, has been unequalled in our city. Pauline really enjoys being with, supporting and working with the veteran support groups. She does it with a passion which you can only have if you really love what you do and can see the good that you are doing for people. I had the privilege of hearing a lovely testimonial for Pauline from a member of the Armed Forces Covenant, and I quote, this almost reduced me to tears because this is the part of the quote which was totally unexpected. The support the Lord Mayor has given to the servicemen, women, veterans and their families this year has been absolutely outstanding, especially the rapport that Pauline has with the families and young people. Pauline really cares and loves people. Pauline, you have been a very enthusiastic, friendly Lord Mayor. You have been yourself, so you would expect a laugh or two. And for anybody who knows Pauline, that laugh is absolutely, totally recognisable whenever you hear it. Only you could turn up to an event in the Lord Mayor's chamber with odd shoes. Your love of quirky shoes is well known. Now, when Pauline gets up, I have to say she hasn't let me down today, because Pauline, you have an amazing pair of shoes on. All have a look at them. And Brian, your support throughout the year has also been so important. I don't think it's recognised enough when you're the Lord Mayor just how much you actually need someone to lean on. When you're tired and it's pouring down with rain and you have another event to do, sometimes you just need that person to say, come on, another one. I have heard about Pauline, about you, Brian, though, when you tried to compete with Pauline in the spiky hair competition. I can only imagine how funny it was. It was as the helicopter took off after having delivered a large poppy to Pauline to start the poppy appeal. Brian nearly took off too. His hair was standing up on end, to everybody else's amusement, but I'm afraid, Brian, at your expense. You have worked hard this year, Pauline, also maintaining your job at Travel Line South West, for which they should all be thanked, because you couldn't have been able to do it without their support. I hope you look back at this year with great pride. You've taken the Lord Mayoralty out to our youth, the elderly, and all those who have needed you. And you have one theme in your year in office, and that has been support and friendship. A Lord Mayor of the people, for the people. Wait for it. A Lord Mayor for the many and not the few. So, I move that the Council accords to Councillor Pauline Murphy the sincere thanks of the citizens of Plymouth for the invaluable services she has rendered to the city as Lord Mayor since May 2016, and for the able manner in which she has presided over the deliberations of the Council during that period. The Council also expresses its indebtedness to Councillor Sam Davey for his diligent and efficient discharge of the duties of Deputy Lord Mayor, and to Councillor Brian Vincent as the Lord Mayor's Consort, and to Ms Bethan Davey as Deputy Lord Mayor's Consort as well, who has supported them during this year in office. Thank you.
I call upon Councillor Terry Beer to second the vote of thanks.
My Lord Mayor, Deputy Lieutenant of Devon, Honorary Recorder of Plymouth, Honorary Freeman, Honorary Alderman of the City of Plymouth, members of the City Council, distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen and young people. It gives me great pleasure to second the vote of thanks and gratitude to Councillor Pauline Murphy. Reflecting back on your exciting year, you've certainly done so much and met so many of our Plymouth citizens. As I was reflecting on your year, I remember all the occasions we met in the course of your duties as Lord Mayor and in my duty as a Cabinet Member for Children and Young People. I have to say there's been a lot of love in this city during the year of office, and I recall everyone getting a hug and some even getting a peck on the cheek. We have all seen how you put people at ease, and the children are certainly not shy of approaching you. The Senator at Plympton, Mrs Rose Hamley, recalled recently attending St George's Day service, where many young people attended, and how they were high-fiving and doing dabbing. I think you better show us what dabbing is so that we all understand. Well done. In church services that you attended with our young people from primary age, it's recalled that one young person did a reading and afterwards came up and gave you a high five. I think I need a high five. It was a pleasure for us to attend the Military Heroes Awards at Stonehouse Barracks, where we met young people whose parents serve in our armed forces. We heard some inspiring stories and achievements from our young people. Each young person collected their awards and received a hug from you. You can never forget how moved we all were at the You Can Do It Awards, when all our looked after children were awarded certificates and prizes. It was a very moving evening for us all. In Devonport Guildhall, we met foster parents who served the city for our looked after young people, some over 30 years. It was an incredibly moving evening that left some of us with tears in our eyes. Foster parents are incredibly dedicated to care for our looked after children, and it was a pleasure to recognise their work. MTV crashes on Plymouth Hoe. I recall we both turned up in heels to boogie the night away. You were the sensible one, though. You wore flat shoes halfway through the evening. I kept my high heels on that killed me, and I went barefoot back to the car at the end of the evening. The Festival of Remembrance at Plymouth Pavilions was a moving event as we remembered those who fought in wars. You truly are an ambassador for the armed forces in this city, and I recall the warmth and pleasure that the audience had for you that night. More recently, we attended the diving championships for the senior and junior divers at Plymouth Life Centre. There were some heart-stopping displays, as I remember, but we got down to the poolside to award medals and flowers. What a proud moment it was for Plymouth when you welcomed Plymouth's top team to the Council House after their open-top tour of the city. Plymouth Argyle has certainly put Plymouth out there, and the players received medals and a hug from you. And don't think I didn't see you boogieing on the balcony. I have to make mention of your chosen charities and the fundraising you've done for them. I'm confident they will be delighted with your efforts. And finally, how will we cope without our aerobic exercises during our council meetings? Yeah, that's what we do in council meetings. Up, down, in, out. We had so many adjournments for a variety of reasons. We'll miss those, Pauline. Pauline, can I just again say a huge thank you to you and your consort, Councillor Brian Vincent, your deputy and his consort for the outstanding work you have done for the city. Lord Mayor, it gives me great pleasure to second this motion. Thank you.
Members of the City Council, I will put the motion to the meeting.
Members of the City Council, those in favour of the motion, please show. Thank you. Those against? My Lord Mayor, the motion is carried.
I declare the motion carried.
The Lord Mayor will now present gifts to the retiring Lord Mayor, the retiring Lord Mayor's consort, and the retiring Deputy Lord Mayor.
I call upon the retiring Lord Mayor to reply.
Lord Mayor, Deputy Lieutenant of Devon, Honorary Recorder of Plymouth, Honorary Freeman and Honorary Alderman of the City of Plymouth, members of the City Council, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and young people. Serving as Lord Mayor of this city has been a great privilege, and every day I have served in this role has been a wonderful honour. I feel very proud to have been a Lord Mayor of our great city. It's a city with a heart and a soul. The time has gone by in a flash. It seems like only yesterday I was on this stage making my acceptance speech. But it has been a remarkable year, and one that I've enjoyed immensely. 1 year on, it's been a very demanding year, and I'm probably spent the last few weeks of being Lord Mayor running on adrenaline, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Being Lord Mayor, you are not here to show favour to any group, but to act as a representative of Plymouth, putting politics to one side and acting first and foremost for the City of Plymouth. We may all come from many different and diverse walks of life with different political thinking, but our common link is that we all inhabit this city. We all want a safe and prosperous city for our children and future generations, and we are all elected to work in the interests of Plymouth. And it is about engaging with the community. It is the duty and responsibility of all of us to unite behind whoever the Council chooses as Lord Mayor, and the office of the Lord Mayor is one that is here to serve the people of Plymouth. Over the course of the year, you get to meet so many amazing people. Across Plymouth, we have many unsung heroes, and over the past year, I've met hundreds. The foster carers looking after some of our most vulnerable children, the volunteers who give their time selflessly, the charity fundraisers who devote themselves to raising funds that will have an impact on people's lives, our armed forces, our standard bearers and veterans who support many of our civic events throughout the year, and not forgetting our fantastic MKC heroes. The list is endless, and they all deserve our genuine and heartfelt praise. As a Lord Mayor, you get asked what has been the highlight of your year. I can honestly say that every engagement that we have attended has been very special. It is fantastic to be invited, to be part of a special day, whatever the occasion. And without those invites, our year wouldn't have been as amazing as it has been. I thank the people of Plymouth. Without them, being Lord Mayor would be a dull job. We have a city filled with people making it more beautiful, more interesting, fairer, friendlier, and more equal. A city that's filled with love, friendship, ambition, and hope. I also give thanks to the extraordinary generosity of the people who have supported my charities, both Frontline Veteran Support and Mesothelioma. Nearly £7,000 has been raised, which is amazing, especially in the economically difficult times that we face today. And I'm sure these charities express their gratitude the same as I do. It is wonderful to see so many young people here today. Amongst them might be our future Lord Mayor in years to come. That is why, as a city, we must protect the Lord Mayoralty. It is a visible, positive feature of the City Council and for all Plymothians and visitors across all walks of life. An ideal focal point for the forthcoming Mayflower 400 celebrations in 2020, when the eyes of the world will be on Plymouth. We must treasure this as few cities have what we have. My year as Lord Mayor has only been enjoyable and successful due to a number of supporters and I have many people to thank. And at this point, I'm just going to ask my flower ghost just to do me a little favour. Brian, my consort, the support he has given me throughout the year has been amazing. Not only has he attended all of the engagements, but has also worked really hard in the background arranging all of my charity events. I have valued this support. Sam and Bethan, my deputies, over the past year, they have provided great support and have helped immensely in undertaking the engagements I couldn't attend. They both have made fantastic deputies for this city, and I value the great work that they have done. Finley, my cadet, has been outstanding. Not only is he a credit to the Royal Marine Cadets, his school and his family, but he is also a credit to this city. We are very proud of you. I wish you every success for your future. I know you will go far. Carl, my chaplain, who has supported me throughout my year and who has attended all of the full council meetings to lead us in prayer. Thank you. The Lord Morality staff, Elizabeth, Kate, Sophie, Sarah, Steve and Kevin, and not forgetting Sam, who manages Elliott Terrace and the Guild Hall. They've all been fantastic. They all work incredibly hard. The amount of work that they do to make sure that the Lord Mayor's term of office runs smoothly and efficiently is amazing. They are a great team to have behind you. The understanding and help from my family members and loved ones, my employer and work colleagues, is the reason why I have been able to undertake this role in the last year. Lastly, I would like to thank the people of Efford, Lipson, Lair and Deer Park, my ward that I am so proud to represent and campaign for. These constituents have put their faith in me and have taken the time to put a cross next to my name in local elections. Without their efforts and trust in me, I wouldn't have had the pleasure of representing this city as Lord Mayor. Lord Mayor, I wish you every success for the forthcoming year. I know you will be a great ambassador for this city. Thank you.
Members of the City Council, please note Councillor Boyer's continuing position as Leader of the Council. Members of the City Council, please note the information about the Cabinet membership. Members of the City Council, I invite you to approve the appointments to committees, joint committees, panels, working groups and their chairs and vice chairs for the transaction of the business of the Council until the next annual meeting as set out in the list circulated. Is that agreed? Thank you. Members of the City Council, I invite you to approve the appointments and nominations of councillors and others as representatives of outside bodies until the next annual meeting as indicated. Is that agreed? Thank you. Members of the City Council, I invite you to consider the report on changes to the Constitution in relation to the Planning Committee and the recommendations within it. Would someone like to propose that the recommendation is accepted? Thank you. May I have a seconder? Thank you. Those for? Those against? That is carried. Thank you.
My Lord Mayor, that concludes the formal business of the day. Please stand.